All right, looks like we are live. Okay, I'm gonna just do my little recording in progress. All right, let me just do my little techie checks here and make sure that I am where I want to be. All right, we are on Facebook Live on Jenny's personal page. Guys, welcome, welcome, 7 o'clock. Just like I said, we're right here on the exact minute. So if you're tuning in, just drop me an emoji. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Guys, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for today because I have my friend and mentor and teacher and someone that I really just honor and respect and look up to, Margriet Leach, who is the director of Emerging Profits, the Global Emerging Profits. And so let you just share a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Jay, for having me on here. It's truly an honor, and I'm saying hello to all the people that are popping in, like Jacqueline Kiocho and Chris Sheard. Hello, it's good to see you. Gail Davies, good to see you. So my name, like Jenny said, is Margriet Leach. I live in the Sacramento area in California, so I am 3 hours behind Jenny, so it's only 4 p.m. right now. So I still have to eat dinner and fix dinner and all that good stuff. And my husband just walked in the door, so he may pop his head in. So sorry about that if he does that. He's just like, he loves to do that. He loves to just pop his head in and just interrupt whatever I'm doing, which is great because, you know, it's all about the realness, right? And so I'm married, have been married for 28 years, 27 years. I don't remember, somewhere along there. I have 4 kids, all adults now. My youngest just turned 18. 2 are still living at home. And as of yesterday, they now all have jobs too. So it's very strange to have 4 adult children that are working now too. I'm just like, this is very bizarre. It's, you know, I was in school age for so long, for like forever, ever and ever. And now it's kind of gone. So yeah, so as Jenny said, I am the director of Emerging Profits. I have a school in Vacaville as well. It was founded by Keith Ferrante. You know, we still work very closely in Emerging Profits together. And so have known Jenny for 2.5, 3 years. And yeah, it's just been a joy to get to know her and walk alongside her. And you guys have got yourself an amazing friend here if you know her.
Awesome. This is so exciting, guys. And I see we have a bunch of people on here from Ontario. You know, I'm going to greet all of you guys. Thank you, because I know there's a global audience, international. But, you know, if you're watching and you're in Ontario, I want you to hit that share button because we are going to talk about this new Emerging Profits Ontario school that is launching. So whether you're prophetic, you might have prophetic friends. So just hit that share button. And we're gonna do a little bit of prophetic ministry, and then we're gonna just get into talking about why this launch is so exciting and what exactly is going to be happening in January. So just want to say hello, Regina Duncan. Good to see you always from California. Tracy McDonald Lambert. Hello, Ontario, and your twin sister Teresa. Good to see you, ladies. Tamara Bali, Levi Brubacher, Debbie Shannon, Cassidy Mikula. We got some Ontarians. We got fellow EPers on here. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Joelle Ledger, you're also in Ontario. Awesome. And Margriet, do you have anyone that you can prophesy, or Eric is popping in there?
Yeah, popped in. Say hello from over there.
Hello from over here.
Hello, Mr. Leach.
So good. Oh, okay, sounds good. All right. Hey, this is real life happening right now, just so you know. But yeah, so who was it? Was it Tracy Lambert? Tracy McDonald Lambert, who was drawing my attention. So Tracy, I just see that you're in this new season. Like, I feel like there has been a transition that's been happening, and I feel like there's this new season, and I see the Lord like opening doors for you. And I see actually not just one door, like doors, like multiple doors, and I see them happening in rapid succession. And I feel like by the time that that December rolls around next year, so of 2024, I feel like your life will have completely shifted. There will be some things that are obviously going to remain the same, but I feel like you are not going to recognize who you are on the inside and outside. If you were to, run into yourself a year from now, you would be like, who is that person? That person looks exactly like me, but this must be, my I don't know, my doppelganger, because, I am so different. I see that your mannerisms will be different, your bearing will be different, the way that you hold yourself, the way that you carry yourself, like everything I feel like the Lord is rearranging stuff for you and realigning things for you so that foundationally you're super strong, and he's shoring up your foundations in this upcoming year, to where the things that he's been talking to you about and the things that you've been desiring are actually going to come to fruition, because will have that solid foundation. You thought you had a solid foundation before, but the Lord is saying, hey, I'm actually going to shore it up and strengthen it even more. And so I just bless you with that, Tracy Lambert, in Jesus' name.
Awesome. And I see Teresa, your sister's cheering on. She's loving that word that you got there. So good. Trina Lewis, Trina, you are a precious gem. And the Lord I just see him, he's rolled out the red carpet for you in this season. And he is making the way for you. And I just see you I see like this staircase in front of you. And it's like this season that you're moving in for, it's like step up, step up, step up, step up. And you are stepping up. And I see you really taking your position and stepping into the authority that the Lord has given you. And I see you owning unashamedly who you are in this season and stepping up in leadership. And I see you releasing your voice. And even though there is a gentleness and there is a softness, there is a roar that is inside of there. And I see you releasing this roar. And I see it's the roar. I hear the roar of righteousness, the roar of holiness. And as you release your roar, which sometimes the roar is released even as soft as a whisper, but it's because of the authority that you carry. And I see chains breaking. I see shame breaking off of people, falling to the ground as you are setting them free. And you carry this ability to release the shame off of people and to help them to step up as you are taking your steps up and sitting in your high position on the throne beside the Lord. I see others looking at you, and they're just, because Trina is so unassuming. Trina is so safe. Trina is so relatable. Trina is somebody, if Trina can do it, I think I can do it.
Wow.
And so I see your position of one of just such incredible inspiration. There are eyes that are on you. And because you're not loud with your roar always, ears are listening. So let out your roar, Trina. Step up, put that crown on your head, and take your place.
Ooh, come on. That's such a good word for Trina. Whoa. Joelle Legger, I hope that's how you say your last name, is being highlighted right now. And I just see that the Lord is changing the narrative of your story. And not only is he changing the narrative of your story, but you have a story that is actually really powerful and that he wants you to release. And I see you writing books. Yes, that's plural. I see you writing books. And I don't know if you've already written something or have the thought about writing something, but the Lord's hand is on it. And I feel like there's a timing piece towards it, Joelle, to where your story needs to be released for that first book that he's talking to you about right now. Like that first book is going to be very pivotal for you, and it's actually going to help change your season. And I feel like there's fresh just revelation and just fresh territory actually that you'll be taking in the supernatural. And I feel like there's actually going to be like something that is in the natural with territory as well. So geography wise, that will shift once you put that book out. And it may have nothing to do with like how many copies are sold. It's actually about the act of publishing, and it will be a prophetic act of sorts, of where, you know, you're doing something, you're following, you know, what the Lord is asking you to do. And because of that, something is opening up in the both in the natural and in the supernatural. So I just bless you, Joelle, with a boldness to have the boldness of a ready writer. Ooh, the boldness of a ready writer. And I see just the ink, like I don't see a pen, I see the ink coming from heaven and just landing in your pages that you're writing. And so I just bless you, Joelle, in Jesus' name. Ooh, come on.
Awesome. So good. So good. Joelle, take that. You're going to have to go back and you're going to have to record it, and you're going to have to write that out and make those declarations that you're going to speak over yourself for this year, because that was powerful. So powerful. You know, guys, so if you're just tuning in and you're in Ontario, just want to say again, hit that share button, because we are going to talk about, I just want to talk a little bit about, you know, my journey and, you know, why I'm here, why we're launching this first Canadian Emerging Prophet School, why I'm the one stepping up to do it. And, you know, if you know someone who might be prophetic, if you yourself, maybe you're a dreamer, maybe you're a feeler, maybe you just haven't discovered what's on the inside of you, you know, and you want to go on this journey of discovering, like, you know, who you are. So it's not just for someone who says, oh, yes, I know that I'm a prophet. But yeah, let's share it out there. You know, so a lot of you guys are tracking with me. You've been tracking with me on Facebook. Some of you guys a lot of you are in my prophecy hour group. You know, so I have been doing, you know, I've only known that I had a prophetic gift probably for the last 10 years. I was not one of those people who grew up knowing that I was revelatory, that I heard from God. So just so you know, that makes me almost 30 years of not knowing that I could hear the voice of God, except for a couple times. You know, and so be inspired by that, because, you know, to be called to the office of prophet doesn't mean you have some angelic visitation when you were a child and you just always know that you know who you were. I'm still discovering who I am, you know, and so I've been super grateful. I grew up in a cessationist kind of church background. There was no prophecy. There was no prophecy. There was no tongues. But when I discovered them, and when I got the baptism of the Holy Spirit and I started getting into charismatic churches, you know, I was super grateful. I had a couple pastors who took me under their wing, who had eyes to see even when I couldn't see what was inside of me. You know, so the last 3 years, it's almost 3 years since I launched the Prophecy Hour ministry. So a lot of you guys know what that is. And if you don't, send me a message and I'll add you to the group, because we're meeting next week on Thursday, you know, and this is a group that I launched so that we could train people up in how to hear the voice of God. Because guys, God is shifting the paradigm of the prophetic. It's not about prophetic superstars. It's not about being the prophet, being the one, but it's about raising up companies and communities and people and family and raising up. So this is why the school is so important, you know, and it's like, you know, so how is this different than what I've already been doing? Because you guys know I have a prophetic mentorship group. I've been training you guys for the last 2 years. I think I've had about 40 students have come through the mentorship group in the last year and a half. A lot of you guys are on here. I can see you. I can see you, Chris, Tracy, a bunch of you guys are here watching, you know, and you guys, I've seen the fruit in your life, and I've seen you guys come in, some of you having never prophesied, you know, and when I discovered God gave me this prophetic gift, it's a gift. So I didn't earn it, but it's fine-tuned and grown and developed in the place of his presence. And so I demonstrate my gift to you guys a lot. And that's why we come on here for Facebook I do a lot of Facebook Lives and prophecy, demonstrate for you guys what is available for you, because you don't have to be a prophet to prophesy.
Mhm.
And so there's been all this, really focusing on training in the prophetic. But now we're in a new season and it's time to train prophets, because Canada needs a new, strengthened, mature, healthy expression of the prophetic to rise up, and companies of prophets to rise up and be able to integrate healthily back with the local church, so that we can reform our nation, that we can have our voice back, that the church in Canada would have her voice. Yeah, so that's my Canada passion, my little so guys, are you resonating with me? Like, give me some fire emojis there. Yeah, I see Jenny Kretschmar in Germany is resonating with me, because she knows that one of her friends in Germany is also in the mentorship group that I run. Guys, this girl who's in this mentorship group, Silka, we meet at 7 p.m. our time. She wakes up at 1 a.m. from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m.
Wow.
every week to be in, and that, like, I feel emotional over that. It's like she's paying a price, not just of finances, but of her time and her sleep. And she is always such a delight. And she is just like growing. And it's just incredible. Like, people like that just really inspire me. So I've been training in the prophetic, but Margriet has been training prophets.
Mhm.
So can you share a little bit about, like, what's that been like for you? How at training at EP Vacaville and
Yeah. So I started off like you, like didn't know anything about the prophetic until I was in my 20s. And then I got a revelation, aha moments, and realized that's prophetic. And then I trained on the prophetic for a really, really long time. And I even had prophetic words about, like, hey, you're going to raise up people like you're an eagle, raising up eaglets. And it never said anything like, hey, you're going to train up prophets. And so the Lord had actually been talking to me about it already, but I'm like, yeah, none of my prophetic words say that, and I was super not ready. Also, like, I was very scared, very intimidated. Like, who am I? I just train people on the prophetic. It brings me joy. Why, how would that be for me to train up prophets? So that was always in the back of my mind, like, very intimidated about it, like, honestly. And so then I came to Emerging Prophets. Like, our founder, Keith Ferrante, started his school in Vacaville, California, which is kind of like halfway. It's the midway point in between Sacramento and San Francisco. And so if you were to go one way or the other from Sacramento towards San Francisco, from San Francisco to Sacramento, you would hit Vacaville. And so that's the place where Keith founded Emerging Prophets. And I came in the second year, and he's like, he invited me in, and I'm like, why would I want to go to a prophet school? Like, people are weird, and I was like, oh my gosh, why?
how weird.
Even knowing that I was like, I'm a little odd at times, and, not always super socially and awkward, so I got to that place, and that whole first year was me discovering that Holy Spirit had taught me really well, but also Keith giving us language for things that I'd known but didn't know how to put into words, and discovering that I was actually meant to do, like, hey, I could actually do this because I know a lot of this already. And so, it took a couple of years to actually, for me to, even think about doing that at Vacaville. Like, I was still very much like, no, just let's not, it's okay. Maybe I'll do it in Sacramento one day, because Sacramento is about 45 to 50 minutes away from Vacaville. So it's not super close. So, but then realizing, hey, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and Keith and his wife Heather talking to me about it, and, then beginning to take on the school, with with Keith right there and realizing, oh my goodness, I find so much joy in this. Like, I love doing this. I love training in the prophetic, obviously, because there's, the aha moments, the light bulb moments of like, oh my gosh, I can do this. Or, I've been prophetic much longer than I thought I was. And for people to actually begin to recognize and get the aha light bulb moments of like, oh my goodness, I think I might actually be called to be a prophet. Just because I'm in the school doesn't make me a prophet yet. Doesn't mean that I'm in office of prophet, but getting the light bulb moments of like, hey, I'm drawn to this community, and helping them get healthy foundations has just been so life-changing for me, and not just for them. It's like a twofold journey. Like, yes, it's life-changing for everybody that's an EP and that puts the time in and does the work, but then also for myself, like it's hard work, but I love it. Like, I can honestly say that I'm in a place right now where I love what I get to do. Like, I cleaned houses for a long time. I did not love that, I tell you. Did not love getting to clean toilets and other people's toilets. Like, no, but I love what I get to do. And I just want to encourage you guys that, if you're feeling the tug of like, this is what the Lord wants you to do, step into it, because you're actually going to love it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that, and where emerging prophets came in, and I like what you talk, it's about like helping people get healthy.
Yeah.
And so like, for me, in my experience, like I had a pastor who was a prophet for 7 years, Pastor Zach, and he was actually brought Keith. The first time I met Keith Ferrante, he came up to, it was my previous church 7 years ago. And he had brought Keith in, and, I wish I knew then what I knew now. And I would have just like, accelerated the process, but it wasn't until, maybe 4.5 years later that I actually got connected with EP. But it's like God already had me on this track of, I had a pastor who was a prophet. I had Patricia Bootsma, another prophet mentor friend, who would, let me prophesy with her. And I was starting to launch my ministry, and actually launched my ministry in March, joined EP in May. And it's been like, God, it's kind of been the like, hey, Jenny, you need this to help you, like keep you in the game. And it's been this like, because I've been running after it. And it's been like, having the community, the network, the coaching, the mentoring, the, people who are like, okay, Jen, who have been, farther ahead of me in the journey, and be like, okay, there's some ditches here that you got to watch out for. There's some blind spots here, and so, and even what I've started the prophetic mentorship group, and then started certification 2 months later to get certified as a school director. But I was already doing the training, and I just felt like EP was like God's protection for me. Because I knew I had this call, and I was encouraged, and I was moving. But with the challenges that you face, and you go into new stages of life and development as you're growing that you've never been there before, you need the safeties and the people who have like gone before and can like help you and teach you and train you. And so it's been a gift for me for my own personal development.
Right.
And I don't think, there's no way I would be ready to launch an EP a prophet school if I wasn't in EP for the last 2.5 years, like really, going after it. And so it's been like, it's been such a gift, in just kind of like, helping me make sure I stay on, staying on track.
Yeah.
Because what often happens with prophets is, prophets in the church, guys, and this is what we were fixing. This is what we want to fix, is not having loner prophets, isolated prophets, who are disconnected, because there's so many opportunities for challenge, for offense, for headbutting, stuff like that. And we got to stay in the game, and we have to like be connected to the body of Christ, and not be, out there doing our own thing and just, disconnected, but being in places of authority and community and family. That's where the safety is.
It's so true. It's
Yeah.
so true. Like so many people are very isolated when they figure out, they're prophetic or they're sensing something or they have church hurt. And that isolation is just so bad for us. We don't even know, but we're so like protective of our heart, right? Because we're like, we don't want to be wounded anymore. People don't get me. I'm misunderstood. Like that was me for a long time. I'm like, I only had two friends, y'all. Like, and I prayed those friends in. Like I was like, Jesus, I need some friends, please. And then I had my two friends, and then the Lord's, brought me into EP, and he's like, that's not enough. Your two friends are not enough. Um, but I was very anti-community, very anti like prophetic family, because I'd seen so much weird stuff, right? And people acting strange and crazy in the name of the prophetic when it wasn't really prophetic. And seen a lot of damage done because of the prophetic. And so I was very cautious, very like, I don't know who these people are. I don't want anything to do with them, but God had other plans, obviously. But building tribe, building community, building family, having people to speak into your blind spots. It's just such a beautiful thing. It's a little scary. Yeah. Yeah. Like truly it is a little scary, but it is so beautiful. Like you need this kind of stuff. Right. And, haha, I'm scrolling out over the comments here. People are commenting left and right, but, I just want to encourage you, like Canada is on the cusp of breakthrough.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're launching this in this season, Jenny, is so pivotal, not just for Ontario, but for Canada. And I feel like, you pioneering this and you breaking ground in this is so, so key for what the Lord wants to do within Canada. And so I want to encourage you guys that have not signed up yet, or if you've already signed up, like, hey, you're part of a pioneering group.
Yeah.
And this is not just strategically pivotal for you in your own personal life, but it's strategically pivotal for your country, for your region. Like this is going to have a ripple effect that is bigger than you realize. And Canada, man, Canada is amazing. I've only been in the airport, but Canada is amazing. And so hey Judy, it's good to see you on here. But even if you're thinking like, well, this sounds all good and well, like, and I really resonate with Jenny, and I like all the stuff that she does, and I'm really drawn to her, but I'm not a prophet. Well, this is what this school is for. Like it is like emerging prophets exist to help discover, develop, and deploy reformer and revivalist prophets and send them into every sphere of influence. And so you may not recognize yet that you are one, like that you're called to the office. And it may just, what does it look like to be in the business mountain and be a prophet? And what does it look like to be in the government mountain and be a prophet? What does it look like to be in education and be a prophet? Like all these unexplored areas because we've only seen like one type of prophet, and it's the prophet within the church on the platform. So I love Patricia King. I love Emma Stark. I love, Keith Rotte. I love, Chris Valentin and Stacey Campbell and all these people. They're so amazing, but they're only one facet of what a prophet can look like. And, Dan McCollum says this all the time. He talks about this, like that prophet is mentioned more in scripture than all the other offices combined. So pastor, teacher, evangelist, apostle. So that actually tells me right there, and should tell you right there, that there are more prophets than pastors.
Interesting.
Right? Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'm just excited for you, Jenny, because this is going to be,
yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was thinking of that earlier, that comment about, how many times pastor versus prophet is mentioned, because it was mentioned earlier. And, and yet we have so many pastors, and because it's been a pastor teacher led church in the last era. And that's been what we've been used to. And it's everybody is a pastor, and not everybody who even has the title pastor is a pastor. Some of them are teachers, some are apostles, some are prophets, you know, but it's like, but to get that, to raise up prophets to a level where it's not this like, oh, I am the prophet, but it's no, like, we're prophets, they're prophets. And like what you said, every sphere of influence in business, in media, in education, in government. It's not about the microphone Sunday morning. That's just one sphere of influence, but it's every sphere of influence. And most of us are not called primarily to the religion mountain, which would be the Sunday morning church, though we're all need to be in the Sunday morning church. But it's like knowing, like, you know, okay, maybe you don't see yourself as a church leader, and maybe you're not called to be a church leader, but you can still be a powerful, influential prophet wherever God has placed you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good. Ooh.
You know, one thing I wanted to mention by means of just for you guys watching and wondering about the school, check out my website, emergingprophetsontario.com. All the information is there. If you have any questions, you know, you can, you know, send me an email. But this isn't just Jenny's Ontario school, even though we are going to meet here in my house in person. So we're going to meet here in person. We're going to have weekly Zoom classes online, but we are not our own silo. We are not just our own thing. We are connected to the global emerging prophets. And so as part of your tuition, you're going to have access to all the global emerging prophets masterclass, which is like Wednesday night Facebook Live classes, or Wednesday afternoon every single week. Right now we have our prophetic gift training classes on Tuesday evenings. And then every Friday there's something different. We either have community groups, or once a month there's a group inner healing call, or just kind of special calls. So there's connection points. So though we want to raise up in Ontario, in our region, you know, and focus on making a connection, putting down roots here, but we are connected to the global. And so you have a global family.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those of you that are like, hey, I don't know if online, you know, works, like building community, and though actually it's a real thing. Like I met Jenny online, and I met, you know, some of the other EP, a lot of the other EP people online. And is it great to connect in person? Yes, it is. But real community can be built online if it's done with intention, if it's done, you know, with integrity. And, you know, so don't think like, hey, that doesn't happen, because I used to be that person. Like I really did.
Yeah.
When I started it online, I was like, hey, I don't know if this is going to work. And he's like, oh no, it'll work. And he proved me wrong. So, you know, I am very close friends with, you know, some people online, and, you know, we just do daily life together, even though they may live, well,
Yeah.
Peter's part of our team, right? And he lives in Nova Scotia, Canada. So obviously he and his wife don't live close, but, you know, they're in Reading right now. And we just happened to get together a couple of times with them because it's important to us. So, you know, just doing life together with someone that lives in a different country is totally possible. So thanks to modern technology, right?
That's the one, you know, one of the biggest blessings of the drama of 2020
right?
was it pushed, so when we were stuck at home, pushed so many of us to online and looking at how can we connect. And so the blessing is it's made the world smaller, and it's like opened up, it's like removed a ceiling of limitations that before 2020 we would have had over ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I see Diane saying here, justice prophets with true justice. Yeah. Listen, y'all are not, prophets are not supposed to be quiet and, you know, conform. Like we're atmosphere shifters, we're culture changers. We're supposed to be the trend setters, not the reflection of trends. And so there is, like, Canada needs this breakthrough of you joining this emerging prophet school. Like for real, we need the voice of the prophets to be exposed in a whole new way within Canada. And Canada, I just call you to rise up. I call the prophets to rise up. I call the emerging prophets to rise up. I send out this clarion call right now within Ontario for the prophetic, the highly prophetic people and the emerging prophets, those who don't know that they're called to the office of prophet yet, to rise up and to hear this call and to go on a search for how can I be trained up for my voice to be released? How can I be trained up? So I just call you out. I call you out from the north. I call you out from the south. I call you out from the east and the west. And I say, arise, prophets of Canada. Arise, prophets of Canada, because it is your time for your voice to get healthy so that it can be heard. Oh, come on.
Guys, you feel the fire on that. There's so much fire on that. This is a time for reformation of this nation. It's time for us to rise up as the Canadian people and to be the peacemakers that we're called to be, not just the closed-mouth peacekeepers, but the peacemakers. And God wants to remove the duct tape off of the mouths of the prophets in Canada, where you have been silenced, where you have not felt that release. He is opening up. We're stepping in. Just remove it. He's releasing our voices in a powerful way. And he's bringing us, because it takes not just one to break through, but he wants the church to come in one accord, in a unity, and to release this call, to pick up the trumpet, to sound the alarm that Canada is rising up to her destiny, that as the leaves of the tree are for the healing of nations, that Canada will be a nation that is for the healing of other nations. So pick up the batons that were dropped, pick up the spiritual mantles and rise up. You know, and guys, some of you, I feel like there's people who are going to watch this and you're like, yeah, but I already know how to prophesy. I already know. And maybe you're like, yeah, I'm already kind of farther along in my journey. I believe that there are some of you that are already at certain levels of leadership and in your walk, and you feel like, well, I don't really know if I need it. I don't really understand the benefit to me or how it's going to help me. But I feel like the Lord is saying to you, it's not about the benefit to you as much as it is about you are the benefit to it into the nation, because God is looking for multiple spearheads. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. And then for you to go and for you to rise up. And I believe that God is calling in some very strong, mature, powerful leaders to say, you know what, I want to get on and I want to partner with this very first Canadian Emerging Prophet School. And I want to make sure that the prophetic is championed in my region in a way that it has never been before.
Come on.
Come on in, guys.
Yeah. If you're feeling the tug.
Yeah.
If you're feeling the tug, this is an invitation, you guys. And when there is an invitation, you need to answer it in the moment of invitation, not 5 years from now, not, you know, when it gets less busy. Like, I like to use this illustration of like, hey, if you were to get a wedding invitation from your good friend, you wouldn't go to them and say, oh, you know what, that time isn't good for me. I will be less busy, you know, a year and a half from now. Can you postpone your wedding until that time? Like, listen, when the Lord sets out an invitation and you feel that response, you're like, oh yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't know how I can do it. Listen, don't worry about the I don't know how I can do it, but answer the call. Like, there are things that you need to break through so that you can be the breakthrough for other people. And so whether it's the time factor, whether it's like, well, I don't know if I can make this work with my schedule, whether it's the finances, whether it's any of those things, like, oh, I don't know how to prophesy. Like, listen, all of those things are standing in between you and what the Lord is inviting you into. And are you going to let it rule you? Ooh, are you going to let it rule you? Don't let it rule you. God is the God of more than enough. So you will have more than enough grace, more than enough finances. Like the Lord will give you strategy on how to actually begin to partner with what he wants you to do. Come on.
I love that. And what you're talking about, that analogy of like being invited to a wedding, because the Lord's been giving me this picture, of a banquet table, and when Sammy Robinson came to our church in August, he prophesied over me. And one thing he said, you're going to help people find their voice, and you're going to show them where their place is at the table.
Wow. Come on.
Because there's so many people out there who don't know where their place is at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And just in my quiet time this morning, the Lord, like communing with the Lord, he showed me this beautiful banquet table that he was setting. And he's like, Jenny, your only job is pull the chairs out so they can take their seat. Bring them to the table.
Wow. Come on.
There is this, guys, that he is setting a table before you, the table before you, even in the presence of your enemy, even in the presence of your difficulties. There is a beautiful table of delicacies that he is laying before us. And there is an invitation to come and to eat and to feast. And we know the parable in the Bible about those who were invited to the wedding. They're like, but I need to do this, but I'm busy, but I need to. There's a celebration, there's an invitation. Come and take your place. Yeah. It's so exciting. Because there is a acceleration that happens for us. We can do it on our own. We can struggle. We can, go our own pace. But when we link arms and we come together and we're intentional about the journey that we're on and we go after it consistently, systematically, there's an acceleration. So some of you guys are like, maybe you've been prophesied over, maybe you think you might have a gift, maybe you have no clue, but you're just in this like, am I even called? Come and discover. And some of you guys are like, no, I know I'm called and I already, I'm emerging, wherever you're at. Being part of Emerging Prophets and part of this team is going to help you to accelerate the journey and get you to a higher place of health, be able to step into the fullness. Yeah.
So true. We don't do shortcuts.
Yeah.
We don't do shortcuts because that will actually form you into a dwarf's version of who you're supposed to be. But we do help collapse time. So it is an accelerant. So Emerging Prophets helps accelerate your journey. So if you're frustrated, you're like, I don't know why I'm not being heard. I don't know why I'm not stepping into my calling. I know what the Lord has said about this. Like this actually helps accelerate your journey. Scripture talks about the fact that as your soul prospers, everything else will prosper. And sometimes we don't know that our soul isn't prospering the way that it's supposed to be prospering. And that's one of the biggest things that we help you with in Emerging Prophets is like not just to prophesy like a prophet, not just, how do you do public speaking? How do you do, the message? How is it, to be teachable or to be vulnerable, appropriately vulnerable? How do you talk to people and and not be awkward, like those kinds of things. Like, how do you actually move through the hurt? Like, we actually help you to get healthy so that your voice can be heard. Is one of the things that we love to tell people in EP. Like, let's get you healthy so that your voice can be heard, because you have a voice. You have a voice that needs to be released into your sphere of influence, whatever that looks like. It doesn't look like the church for most of you, like Jenny said, but what does that look like for you? We have someone, that is in healthcare. One of our up and coming school directors is in healthcare. There's another one, who's a stay-at-home mom, but also, very actively involved in our church. And then there's There's a 23-year-old who's leading one of our schools in Kona, Hawaii, and newly married, and just cleaning houses on the side. So what does it look like for you to emerge and for your voice to be heard? It for most of you will not be on a platform in a church, but you'll love what you get to do once you get there. And this is our mandate, is to help you get to the place where you need to be in an accelerated manner.
Awesome. That's so good. I love that, guys. I'm so excited. So our first day of class is going to be January the 11th, 111. So that's a Thursday evening. So 111, but you must get that application in before the end of December, preferably today. And just so you know, as soon as you do, if you've been sitting on the fence or like waiting because it doesn't start till January, as soon as you make your first payment, you actually immediately get put into the Global Emerging Profits Masterclass. So actually, I already have 3 students that have jumped into that already, and so they're getting early access to some of our calls and teachings even before the school starts. So exciting. Thank you, Margriet, for coming, for just being here, for supporting, for sharing your testimonies. I'm so excited to be on this journey. And guys, thanks so much for tuning in. And maybe you'll see me again, probably again this weekend.
You probably will. I feel like you're always on here.
I I think I only came on 3 times last month.
Wow.
I know. I feel like it's time to ramp her up a little bit, but I have some ideas swirling. So, all right, guys, I'm going to sign off. Say good night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.